Hello, eye care peeps. Welcome to the first ever live stream of the Authentics. This is a collective of experienced eye care industry people looking to bring genuine, thoughtful conversations to our colleagues. He was last year's AOSA Student of the Year.
I would say earning an OD degree is absolutely worth the time, the commitment, and the money. The need for the skill set I have obtained getting an OD degree is more often than not in high demand. So I may not be rich paying back these student loans, but I will not be destitute. Being fulfilled by what I do and being compensated makes optometry worth the time, the commitment, and the money.
I don't know that we've ever seen the market like it is now with so many choices. Like, there was so much enthusiasm in her voice. She was so excited about the profession that she had chosen. And almost the 280,000 in debt just sort of rolled off her tongue, when normally that would cause me to gasp. I think she's seeing so much opportunity that it doesn't seem to matter. Now, it is real money and it does matter, but just that enthusiasm was refreshing to me.
There's no area where you have to worry about getting a job. It's almost picking which job you want today. It's not just about going to the 50-year-old definition of a practice anymore, right? Tomorrow's opportunity for optometrists is so much bigger than it was yesterday.
Going into school, I did not plan for, what this career looked like for me 10 years down the line, let alone 20, 30, 40 years or till retirement. So I think that's what we talk a lot about, is looking at, yes, there's always a place for like private practice or subleasing, those type of things. But now we have more opportunities in terms of optometrists do not just have to build their own practice in order to make an impact. We're getting more people going into academia. We're getting more people doing residencies. There's more community type work in clinics, whether it's in hospitals, clinics, or jails, that now optometry has a spot or a place, or we can build a new growing spot in place.
So looking to create a practice that supports their personal life and not looking to fit their personal life into a traditional practice mode. So I think that's what makes optometry worth it now, is that you can really create what you want. If you don't want to be open Saturdays, perfect. Don't be open Saturdays. Gone is maybe the traditional one evening a week, because our patients' needs have changed. So I think that's really, you can now create the business that supports you and build an authentic business. And I think that's exciting for optometry students now. And I think that's really exciting for them to see that they can create a business that also allows them to have a life.
It's Marge Axelrod. She's Senior VP and Editorial Director of Vision Monday and VMail from Jobson Optical Group. And she is an industry authentic. Welcome as our first guest, Marge.
I can't tell you how thrilled I am to be your first guest. I think there are nothing but upside opportunities for people who want to practice optometry in whatever way they want, and to build the kind of lives and professional lives that they want. And I think that the degree is well worth it. I think the challenge is selling the idea of optometry as a healthcare profession to future students. There are so many ways to be involved in your career if you study optometry. You can pursue research. You can pursue specialties today. Yes, you can practice remotely and decide how you want to structure your time during the course of a week. So I think that the big gap is in trying to get the people who are serving patients now better connected with what the schools are actually creating, the kinds of opportunities they're offering students, and then this same new attitude among young people today about how they want to pursue their career. There are some gaps there. And I think, it's incumbent upon people to work together to create new messaging about optometry.
Should the messaging be changed to optometrists to help them understand the real opportunity?
Yes.
The U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics said the mean annual wage of an optometrist is $133,000. All of us on this call know many, 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 many ODs that make 2 and 3 times that.
Yes,
because
yeah.
of that business opportunity that's really not taught in the schools.
There definitely needs to be a new way of communicating that ties into the business communicating better about itself and showing value,
Yeah.
and then communicating to the career paths that optometrists can choose to pursue.
If we all go to the top 10 cities of the United States, that's only 10% of the population that we're serving, living amongst, and treating. And then it's like, what happens in these rural type of areas? You know, I live in Dallas, it's a whole metroplex, but there are zip codes, pockets of places that are rural, even within our metropolitan city. You know, just 15 minutes outside, there are areas where we don't have a lot of practices. And I worked in a practice where every day I was seeing patients who've never had an eye exam. And then I think the part that comes up is that the newer generation would not be opposed to going to some of these more rural areas, but we right now lack that flexibility as optometrists with our licensure to do like nurses and to travel. I think that if we had more of the flexibility to choose to go to these remote places, you know, certain days of the week or on the weekend, we would feel a need, and that we wouldn't have a lot of practices that have to close. If we didn't have a lot of corporate places just building practices for the sake of building them and having these ghost stores and areas where they're like, if we build it, it will come, but you built it and we're not coming.
And when we think about it, it's coming out of school, you know, our folks, ODs are going to work for the commercial big box retailers. Why? Because poof, we're hired and we're paying our bills. So, you know, there's a need for that. And going into marketplaces where a traditional practice couldn't even afford to go spend $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 to open up a place, right? Because that person's going to starve for 5 or 6 or 7 years, right? They're not going to get to that $350,000, $400,000, $500,000 a year revenue for a couple of years instead of 1 year. So the only people who could go into that other marketplace would be a big box retailer in that regard. And so our ODs will go to work maybe in that smaller town with smaller demand where there's a big box retailer, Walmart or Target, whatever the case may be.
The president and CEO of the New England College of Optometry joins us. Welcome, Dr. Purcell.
What's up, Authentics? Good to see you all.
All right. Welcome,
Howard, how do we get students to go to rural optometry practices and, you know, make their lives?
Well, I think some of you know how I feel about this. We have to bring the education to them. We have 30 plus states that don't have optometry schools, and we're asking amazing people who might have families, who may have obligations, to pack their bags and move somewhere. So that was a lob question for me. We need to bring that education to them. We need to let them train clinically, locally, so we have a better chance of them staying local. Many organizations in our profession don't agree that we don't have enough optometrists. They will admit that we don't have optometrists in areas we need them. Number one, I believe there are 2 key issues we have. First of all, let me start and say optometric education is worth it 1,000%. You didn't ask me, but I'm just going to say it. It is absolutely worth it. But we have to keep in mind there are challenges, and we need people like you and the people who listen to you. We need your help. We have 2 big issues. One is debt. That was clear. Dr. Otu was amazing. And I agree that she sort of casually talked about her debt. We can't have that kind of debt. We have to address it. And there's ways to address it. And then applicant pool, we've already started to address that. You know, your highest cost item are your faculty. They're amazing. We want to keep paying them in every way we can because they dedicate so much to our profession. Your revenue primarily, and I'm speaking of NECO, but because I can only speak of NECO, but I'm telling you, this is not just at NECO. Our primary revenue source is tuition. So if your faculty expect and want and deserve to get maybe a minimum of 3%, 3.5%, maybe 4% raise, then you have to increase tuition 3.5% a year. It's a very, very simple math problem. We cannot continue to increase tuition 3.5% a year and continue to be viable. That is not sustainable. And therefore, thank you to Scott for mentioning something we call sponsored pathways, which says, if you want to hire our students, your amazing industry people, help them pay for their education. Hey, I feel like I could talk anybody into optometry. It's the most amazing profession there is. You're going to change people's lives every day. You're going to have a great work-life balance. You're going to make a 6-figure salary walking out of school, and you're hopefully going to give back. You have a gift that enables you to give back.
I really think we need to change the messaging so that prospective students for schools understand there is the business aspects of optometry versus purely clinical. Because in my past career, I tried to go to the schools and tried to even fund business education, but for some reason no one was really interested in it, so we didn't have time in the curriculum. But I certainly think if someone understood they could make $200,000 or $300,000 practicing optometry, that would change their perspective.
I would just say, if you're unsure what the future looks like, volunteer to speak for a private practice club. Give your time to your optometry school. It is unbelievably motivating. For anyone who has a question of the caliber of the students currently, speak to them, give your time, and get back involved with your school.
No, we're not being paid to do this. We're not being sponsored by a company. We're not asking for any money. We just really feel a drive, a sincere motivation to bring topics to the industry that need to be discussed. And even if they're difficult topics, and even if they're controversial, and even if we disagree, it doesn't matter. We need to get it out there. We need to have these talks. And really, that was the essence of creating the Authentics.
I don't think any of us dreamed that this good of a conversation could have happened. There's all kinds of you out there that are authentic. There's all kinds of people out there that are like, why are you people feeling you're authentic? And what's unique about this group, this collective, is that every one of these people is wanting to give their time.